Wow, what a difference a couple of days makes. On Wednesday it was snowy and cold and slushy outside, and today it's a lovely spring day. The perfect kind of day to take in some amazing country views. Look at that beautiful sky. Well, hello there, and welcome to yet another beautiful day for an adventure. Today's adventure brings us to Northfield, Minnesota, right in front of the First National Bank building. It is also the Northfield Historical Society these days, and what are we here to commemorate? Well, back in 1876, on September 7th, 1876 to be exact, the James Younger Gang came in on horseback right here on these streets behind me to rob this bank. The townspeople rose up against them. One of the merchants noticed what was going on and said, "Boys, get your guns." And they interfered with the robbery, killing 3 of the James Younger Gang people, as well as 2 of the townspeople got killed in that whole incident as well. The whole thing took about 7 minutes, and it was the last bank robbery of the James Younger Gang. Every year there's a festival here called Jesse James Day, celebrating the bravery of the townspeople rising up against Jesse James and his gang. And so in this museum behind me, we are going to learn more about that, and also as well as other Northfield history. Welcome to another edition of Tommy Travels. It's Tommy Travels. Come on with me, you guys. Let's go see what there is to see. And here it is, the First National Bank building. A historic landmark which I'm sure hasn't changed too much since the days back in 1876. Look at that, you can see the brickwork under the windows. Wow, this is gonna be very interesting. And even right in the window before you get in, you can get a little history lesson. I don't know how clearly that shows through the window there, but there's a sign that says 8 bandits rode into downtown Northfield on that afternoon, September 7th, 1876, determined to rob the First National Bank. Their confidence bolstered by a string of successful robberies, but the nefarious outlaws made a critical mistake. They underestimated the fortitude and ingenuity of the townspeople of Northfield. This exhibit tells the story of the bungled 7-minute raid and how Northfield citizens defeated the most notorious gang of its time. And this building was built back in 1868, and then it was restored by the Northfield Historical Society in 1985. And before we go in, here's a little look at the streets of Northfield. You can tell modern businesses, old buildings. You can almost get a feel for the James Gang coming in on horseback right over here. Wow. Right here at this bank, and here's the entrance. Let's check this place out. There's where we came in, and here's where we could meet the James Younger Gang in Minnesota. There's Cole Younger, Jim Younger, Bob Younger, and then there's Frank, of course, Jesse James right there, Bill Chadwell, Clell Miller, and Samuel Wells, aka Charlie Pitts. I have been to Jesse James' gravesite in Missouri on my way home from Kansas City. A very interesting place to see as well. There's a museum there that's very cool too, with a lot of Jesse James memorabilia. Here is a belt buckle and holster belonging to Cole Younger. And look at that, they have real Confederate States of America money right there. That is amazing. And so here's a map depicting where all of the robberies were. As you can tell, there's a whole rash of them in Missouri, and then it goes all the way out as far east as West Virginia and up into Iowa, and then of course here in Northfield, Minnesota, where we are standing today. Here are some items that were used by folks in the town back in the days that this was all occurring. Little doll and some boots. I like this little toy train set as well. And this sign tells the story about the day that all heck broke loose. There's a picture from the buildings at the time, and that is when Charlie Pitts, Bob Younger, and Frank James crossed the bridge to Mill Square to do the robbery. And then there's a guy named J.S. Allen who noticed what was going on, and Clell Miller grabbed him and said, "Don't you holler, you son of a bee." But he broke his grasp and rode through town saying, "Get your guns, boys. They're robbing the bank." And they have an actual letter here from J.S. Allen, his sworn testimony as to what occurred that day. Wow. How historic is that? Henry Wheeler had a quick reaction. He was standing across the street from the robbery as it was going on. He ducked into his father's drugstore, found no gun. He remembered a Civil War rifle back at the hardware store, began handing out guns and ammunition that they had in stock. And Farmer Elias Stacy grabbed a shotgun, rushed into the corner, aimed around the exterior staircase, and shot Clell Miller. Here is A.R. Manning, and there's a depiction of the gunfight that went on in Northfield that day. A.R. Manning wound up shooting the horse of Bob Younger. And this is the actual saddle from that horse. And look at over here, they have more guns. The Colt revolver. This gun was found on one of the Younger brothers, and it could have been the revolver that Cole Younger picked up from Clell Miller's body in Division Street during the gunfight. And here is a double-barreled muzzle loader, similar to the gun that the townspeople would have used to defend the bank. And this is an actual gun that was taken off of Cole Younger after he was captured by a posse. And this gun was actually used as evidence against him in the trial. Here are the doors that the James gang would have walked into. And this is the actual bank building itself. There's even a ledger here that is open to September 7th, 1876, the day the bank was robbed. And then look at that vault over there, First National Bank vault. And they have some coins displayed here that were used in 1876. They look quite a bit different. Well, that kind of looks like a dime over here. But wow, different types and styles than what we're used to seeing today, that's for sure. Here's a picture of what the bank would have looked like back on September 7th, 1876. "Where's the money outside the safe? Where's the cashier's till?" screamed Bob Younger. He was pointing to a handful of money in the till on the counter, but left behind was $3,000 in a drawer beneath the counter, worth over $67,000 today. Wow. Charlie Pitts pistol whipped Haywood, and Haywood fell to the floor terrified, and he cried out, "Murder, murder, murder." As he tried to rise, Pitts fired a shot over his head. He pulled out a knife and snarled, "Let's cut his throat." But the outlaws still needed Haywood Pitts and ran the knife along Haywood's throat, only scratching the skin. Very brutal, brutal robbery. And so the James Younger gang was chased out of town. Charlie Pitts, Bob Younger, and Frank James were shocked to see the bodies of Miller and Chadwell lying dead in the street. So Charlie and Frank leapt to their horses. Bob didn't have a horse, so he ran towards a staircase where he ran into Ansel Manning, and they began a gunfight where he got shot in the arm, shattered his elbow, which he just changed hands and continued shooting, and they had to get out of there. So Bob leapt up on a horse with Cole, and they ran out of town. All the while, the people of Northfield had no idea. They didn't realize they had just stopped the infamous James Younger gang. Here's a picture of Joseph Lee Haywood shortly before his death. The robbery failed. The James Younger gang escaped with $26.70 in coins rather than the $15,455 secured in the safe. And after the robbery, townspeople were alerted to what had happened and came to the streets where they collected different items that they found, like this gun right here and spur that is now here for display in this museum. Very fascinating. And this is a gun and holster that was used during the robbery by Charlie Pitts. And then after the robbery, there was a $1,500 reward to catch the James Younger gang. Jesse and Frank, they ran out of there pretty fast. They wound up splitting up and never got caught. However, the Younger brothers and Charlie Pitts were a little bit slower and were eventually noticed by this man, Oscar Sorbel, who raced to Medelia, Minnesota, and found this ragged group of guys, later known as the Magnificent Seven. They found them. They got into a gunfight, killing Charlie Pitts. The Younger brothers were captured. Well, as we take one final look around the downtown streets of Northfield, Minnesota, what a cool history lesson for today. Lots of folks don't know the story behind that, so I thought I'll come down here and check it out and learn for myself. And what a historic, beautiful building this is. A beautiful town. That's Water Street that we're looking at right down there. And there's just some old-time vibes here in this place. Here at the Northfield Historical Society. And thank you all so much for all of the support that you've given me so far. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and hit like on my YouTube channel. While you're at it, go ahead and hit subscribe and the little bell notification next to it so you can be the first to know when a new adventure comes out. And thank you so much from downtown Northfield. I hope to catch you on the flip side. Yes, and one other fun fact about Northfield, Minnesota, it is the home of Multi-Meal, where all of those delicious breakfast foods are made and packaged and sent out to the grocery stores. So anywhere you step in this town smells like delicious breakfast cereal.